You must have heard about these drones.
Drones were shot down in Polish airspace overnight.
They crossed the border into Poland, Belgium, and Denmark. But what if I told you that this never happened? I made a video about these drones in Denmark and the comment section went raging. Some said that they weren't Russian, but that it was NATO. Others questioned why you would fly with drones with bright green flashing lights. Just take another look. Couldn't this just be a small aircraft? Or a helicopter? These sightings led to widespread closures of airports and public anxiety, which led to many dozens of people in the comment section to speculate that it was a false flag operation intended to scare the population into spending more on NATO. Could this be true? Could these drone sightings in reality be fake or part of a false flag operation? This is the big lie about Europe's drone sightings, with hindsight.
These drones came out of Russia, so the question is then, was it deliberate or not? And of course that's relevant. Whatever they did, it is reckless, it is unacceptable, and we cannot accept Russian drones entering NATO airspace.
Some leading strategies have theorized that networks supporting the Ukrainian cause may also have sought to influence and energize European support by showing how drone overflights can be unsettling. And false flag operations are nothing new. So what we did is we looked at all the different claims that people were making in the comment section and we researched them individually. And while I was going down that rabbit hole, I stumbled upon what might be the most frightening piece of evidence that I've ever found while researching for this channel. I'm going to get to that, but first, let's start at the beginning. False flag operations are real. On the eve of World War II, Nazi Germany had already spent months vilifying Poland in the press. They claimed that the Polish authorities were tolerating and organizing violence against ethnic Germans, and one night they took it a step further. German agents dressed as Polish soldiers crossed the border at several places and started wreaking havoc. Here, just on the German side of the border, they took control of a radio station from which they broadcasted an anti-German message in Polish to the German people. They left behind bodies of German prisoners that they had executed the previous day to create a scene that looked like Polish aggression against Germany.
Polen hat heute Nacht zum ersten Mal auf unserem eigenen Territorium auch mit bereits regulären Soldaten geschossen.
These events were used to justify Germany's invasion of Poland, and this started World War II. But it wasn't just Germany who resorted to these kinds of tactics. Just a couple of weeks later, tensions were rising on the border with the Soviet Union and Finland. The two countries had peace treaties, which stated that no country could start a war without a justifiable cause, and the Russians were looking for one. Early in the morning, they struck a small Russian border town with 7 shells, and this was noticed by Finnish border guards. They proposed a neutral investigation, but the Russians refused. And 4 days later, they used this to justify the start of the Winter War. False flag operations are extremely secretive and for good reason. If they are exposed, it would badly damage the country's reputation. They are risky, and there are often much easier alternatives. It has never been proven that NATO was involved in a false flag operation, but one allegation comes close. Cold War Italy was shaken by terrorist attacks. This was a period with violence between far-left and far-right groups, and what has been proven was that NATO and the CIA had networks in Italy and other countries that were trained to resist a possible Soviet invasion. The allegations is that these networks have supported these far-right groups committing acts of terror, but this was never proven. Putin knows this game all too well. In 1999, when he was prime minister, Russia was shaken by a series of explosions. The first in southern Russia, then 2 more in Moscow, and later another one in southern Russia. Over the course of just 3 weeks, these bombings killed over 300 people and they injured 1,000 more. The Russians were afraid, and Putin blamed these attacks on Chechen militants and their president. But a few days after the last bombing, in a city just a couple of hours from Moscow, the police arrested 2 men who were planting explosives. They were military grade, and the same kind that were used in the other bombings. But as it turned out, these 2 men were members of the FSB. Putin started the Second Chechen War using these bombings as a part of the pretext. It was never proven that Russia had anything to do with these bombings, but it's widely speculated.
More flights cancelled because more drones were spotted at a European airport.
Could these drone incursions also be a false flag operation?
NATO members suspect Russia, which denied any connection.
Some people in the comment section, they argue that these drones couldn't fly this far, and the words New Jersey keep popping up. I'm going to explain exactly what is going on over here, but first a quick word from our sponsor.
This channel has been my full-time job for about 2 years now, and I recently hired a team. I have researchers, writers, and editors, but all of that requires a lot of admin, which is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one management software. They offer more than 45 apps that help you manage your business. You can use it to sign documents, to send invoices, or to keep track of timesheets.
And this is what makes them so unique, because without Odoo, you still need to do all of these things, but then you need separate subscriptions for all these services.
And this really starts adding up. It gets expensive, and each of these platforms are working independently from each other. Odoo brings all of this together on one platform, and you can select the apps that you need, and you'll have your entire business in one place.
And because with Odoo, all these different apps communicate with each other, your info stays updated, and because it's adjusted to your country, it makes sure that you stay compliant.
And as your business grows, you can pick more apps. It is entirely scalable. Try Odoo today by using the link in the pinned comment or description, and you'll get the first app for free for life, with unlimited support and hosting. And starting at just $19.90 per month, you'll gain access to all available applications. Try it today. Drones have become more popular, and that means that there are more incidents. In Denmark, the number of reported incidents with drones have increased substantially over the years. Most of them didn't involve espionage. For example, if you fly too close to an airport or military base, that's already considered an incident.
The difficulty lies in that there's no clear definition for what constitutes a serious incident. But we compiled a list of the most notable cases these last couple of months.
The conflict in a way has escalated, and Europe has no option but to prepare.
European officials call it a deliberate provocation.
By the end of July, 2 Russian military drones likely became disoriented and unintentionally entered Lithuania. The following month, 2 similar incidents occurred in Poland and Latvia, and later in Romania. And Romania has seen a number of such cases.
Romania claims it was forced to deploy fighter jets after a Russian drone breached its airspace during an attack on Ukraine.
Romanian towns near the border with Ukraine have had to deal on several occasions with debris from drones that were operating across the border. Russia denies all of this and framed these incidents as provocations by Ukraine. On September 9th, the first large-scale incident occurred. Late at night, government officials in Belarus warned their counterparts in Poland and Lithuania that they had intercepted several drones that were out of control. Shortly thereafter, they entered Polish airspace, and at least 5 of these drones appeared to be en route to this airport. This is NATO's main hub for arms supplies to Ukraine. This airport was closed, as well as several other major airports in the region, and with support from NATO member pilots, they shot several of these drones out of the air. These were the first shots that were fired by NATO members since the start of the war in Ukraine, and they obtained tangible evidence of these drones. But what's more shocking is what was happening online. Within just 8 hours since these drones were sighted, while most people were asleep, the internet was flooded with 170,000 mentions of the incidents. That's 350 mentions per minute. This was sufficient to trigger the algorithms in their favor. The next morning, when Polish citizens woke up and read about the incident, the internet was already flooded with Russian misinformation. A poll showed that almost 40% of people on social media now blamed Ukraine for these drones. There were 5 key narratives, like that Ukraine is provoking Poland and NATO into a war, and that the Polish government is unable to defend the country. Some politicians helped spread this narrative, and almost all of them tried to use this to score political points. The drone fragments that were recovered showed this type of drone. The internet was speculating that this drone doesn't have the range for flights from Russia, insinuating that Ukraine must have launched them. Others questioned the intention. Polish media and politicians framed the incident as an aggression, which had to be answered by strengthening their defense posture. But these drones didn't carry weapons, which some felt was suspicious. The next day, there was another incident in Romania and another in Warsaw.
But what happened here in Warsaw, to me, is very telling. So what happened there is that a drone was flying over the presidential palace and the police decided to take it down. They subsequently arrested a Belarusian woman and a Ukrainian man. There was a lot of public anxiety, so maybe people started seeing connections that were not actually there. But it was about to get much crazier.
The Copenhagen airport had to be shut down for 4 hours on Monday night after several large drones were seen flying overhead.
The first report was about 2 or 3 large drones flying over Copenhagen airport, and that same night over Oslo airport, as well as a military base in France, where officials reported that several drones were flying over a facility that was used to train soldiers from Ukraine.
Aalborg Airport in northern Denmark to shut down on Wednesday. It is the second airport to close in the country just this week.
Drone sightings shut down the NATO country's biggest airport.
It was all over the news. The police reporter said the number, size, flight patterns, time over the airport, all this together indicates that it was a capable actor. Which capable actor? I do not know. The next day, drones were spotted over 5 other airports, forcing them to close down. Denmark was on high alert, calling it an act of hybrid warfare.
Danmark har i de seneste dage været udsat for hybride angreb, og det er angreb, der har til formål at skabe utryghed og splittelse. Det er angreb, der skal ryste os som mennesker og som samfund.
It was all over the news and all over social media. Denmark was under attack by an army of drones, and suddenly everybody started seeing these drones everywhere. But the images that circulated online looked suspicious. These didn't look like drones. This didn't look like a capable actor.
It is important to understand the context in which these drone sightings appeared. These happened after a couple of weeks after which drone sightings were constantly in the news, so we run a risk of confirmation bias.
Drones were now spotted in central Denmark, northern Germany, near an oil platform in the North Sea, and near Sweden. This all reflected a growing anxiety, but the Danish police and military had not yet released their statements about the exact nature of their observations. This is why many people in my previous video commented New Jersey.
Across New Jersey, the sense of unease is growing.
Ever since Thanksgiving, there have been thousands of reported drone sightings, mostly in the skies over New Jersey.
I've never seen anything like it. It's just a drone on steroids.
In late 2024, there were widespread reports of drones in New Jersey, the United States. These were spotted near military bases and airports, and after the news of these sightings spread, more reports emerged from across the Northeast and other parts of the country. There are over 5,000 sightings in total, and after they were closely studied, none of them were deemed harmful. Most were just airplanes or helicopters or simply people flying their drone as a hobby. Could this also be the case in Denmark?
I like to focus on information that can be verified or that has been confirmed by an official source. And of course, it would be a great story if all these drone sightings across Europe or even across Denmark would be false. But the websites that I found that jump to this conclusion don't really meet my criteria for being trustworthy. But I did find this.
A police official said that at some point they received 500 reports in a single day, and that most of them were unfounded. We know that this airport was closed twice for about an hour, and that at least one of those closures was because of a misidentification. The police confirmed it was actually a star, which makes everybody look bad. We also know that this video, which was widely circulated online and that appeared in the introduction of my video, was not a drone, but it was a training aircraft. This has been widely reported in reputable news sources. And more theories like these circle on the internet, but are not confirmed and are not reproduced by mainstream media.
So it is very likely that in the next couple of months, as the police and the military are concluding their investigations, that we hear about more misidentifications. But they are now very reluctant to share any details. Because so far, the couple of misidentifications that have been leaked to the public and that are now confirmed led people believe that all of it was a farce. And you can of course follow your own common sense. Like if these couple of instances and the entire story feels like it is fake to you, you can believe that. But it is a speculation. There's not yet overwhelming conclusive proof that this was something like New Jersey.
The evidence pointing at Russia is also very limited.
They are winning the war on the ground in Ukraine. Why would they provoke NATO to step into the war actively? That is something that is highly irrational and doesn't really make sense from a military and also from a geostrategic perspective.
There was a Russian warship that was close to Denmark. there were Russian container ships that acted somewhat suspiciously around that time. But none of this is proof, like I said in my video. But the people that flooded my comment section and disliked my video like I've never seen before said that the theory was already debunked, that NATO was behind it, and that they weren't drones at all. And the largest number of comments claimed it was a false flag operation. They blamed NATO or the US for sending these drones to Denmark. And their theory was that these drones, in reality, were a ploy to convince the European public to buy American weapons.
We cannot exclude that it has been an active Russian hybrid measure. We don't have the info, we don't have the data, which either proves or denies these claims. It is also in Ukraine's benefit to frame these incursions as a Russian attack, because Ukraine then present themselves as a supporter of NATO when it comes to defending drone attacks.
The drone incursions didn't end with Denmark. They were subsequently reported in Norway, Germany, Belgium, Lithuania, Latvia, and other places. And some of these, or all, might be misidentifications. But we simply don't know yet.
Try to also understand the other side. Don't just repeat a certain narrative, but take both perspectives into consideration. Could it be Russia? Yes. Could it be Ukraine? Yes. Why could it be Russia? Why could it be Ukraine or NATO? What's the benefit behind it? And if you take these things into consideration, of course you can form your own opinion.
So my takeaway from this story is that I want to focus more on topics that happened sufficiently long ago in the past that I can look back at them with hindsight. That was the original premise from this channel, and I still believe in that. Help me in my mission by liking this video, leaving a short comment, or any type of positive engagement that could trigger the algorithm to show this video to the right people. It helps more than you may think. And afterwards, here are 2 more videos for you to consider for your next watch.